It's time to pick a side. The Border War is on the air with BG and TanMan. Hour number 2 of the Border War is live on the air. If you're listening to us live, feel free to tweet the show. You can tweet, just go ahead and tweet at the Border War. I think that's the account that TanMan's got up, and he will see it. We will respond. We did have a text last hour that I missed, and Clemson Kev tweeted us, and he says Jay Wright can pretty much name his check, go anywhere he wants. But I mean, that's basically
agree with him.
What we were saying. I just hope he stays at Villanova. And not because I'm a Villanova fan and not because I hate the NBA, but it just seems he doesn't seem like the kind of guy
I like to see guys stay in college. I mean, players, coaches, there's nothing wrong with college basketball. I like to see guys not chase a check. Like Mark Few once said, don't try and get happier than happy. And here he is, 74 years later, still going strong at Gonzaga. So hopefully Jay Wright will stay, but he's going to have his options.
And like you said, I mean, a lot of guys are just willing to admit it privately that it's about the money. And I mean, let's be honest. If you and I would jump tomorrow. And
well, I was going to say, if someone wanted to double my salary, then I'd probably.
Your Border War salary? I can double your Border War salary right here today, right now.
That shouldn't be too difficult.
Right now. All right, so we're going to get started here with some NFL. It feels like a while since we've talked about it, but you know, the Combine sort of just blew on by us. We didn't really talk about that, as compelling of a thing as it is.
If you love watching guys run in tight shorts and see how fast they can run, if that's for you, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not for us. It's not for us. I mean, I remember we talked about it, though, because when they first started airing it, both of us were like, oh, that'll be cool. And like 5 minutes in. I make that mistake every year. I make that mistake every year of thinking, ooh, because you're so starved for football after watching people bounce that thing on that floor. I can't remember the name of basketball. But you're so starved and desperate for football that you watch like 5 minutes of it and you're like, all right, I'm good.
Yep,
I'm good. All right, so the draft is coming up. When is the actual date? Is it early in May?
See, I thought it used to be like the last weekend in April,
but I
think they moved it up some.
I'm going to look it up.
I think they moved it up some. So we'll start off taking a look at some mock drafts. We'll give some thoughts on the Cowboys. You want to start with the Cowboys and Redskins? Or you want to start overall?
We'll start with them.
We'll start with Cowboys and Redskins.
You are correct. It starts on Thursday night, April the 26th.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. Nothing new. Say it again. I'm correct, as usual. CBS Sports has you guys taking at number 13. BG, thumbs up or thumbs down? Daron Payne, defensive tackle from Alabama.
I'm thumbs up on any defensive tackle. The only reason I'm a little bit... Well, first of all, let me just say that a Redskins insider website, Hogs Haven, has us taking the same position, but both guys, and they're quoting Kuiper and McShay here, have us taking Vita Vea out of Washington.
That was another one I looked at.
But, we tried multiple free agent signings at defensive tackle and just could not get together on anybody. But let's both agree about this. I mean, defensive tackle, I don't have a problem drafting a kid at that spot if that's what you need. It's a pretty easy position to predict. It's not like quarterback where you don't know if these guys can read defenses or whatever. The job at DT.
One thing you know about Daron Payne is he can also catch passes. All you got to do is throw him the ball down there at the goal line and he'll catch it.
Well, now that we have a quarterback who can complete passes inside the red zone, that actually might be an option.
Yep. You just read NFL.com here's got you guys taking Vea too, defensive tackle. So does USA Today. But how about this one? Land of10.com, one of the mock drafts out, has you guys taking Calvin Ridley, BG. Thumbs up or thumbs down on Calvin Ridley?
I'm a little ambiguous about that one.
Are you a little scared off by first-round wide receivers, given your recent history?
I think but weeks and weeks ago, every mock draft I saw had us taking either Ridley or another wideout in the first round. I'm not on board with that one. Not on board with that one.
So I agree. I think you guys are likely to wind up at defensive tackle based on a lot of these things we're seeing. For the Cowboys at 19, CBS Sports has got us taking Cortland Sutton, wide receiver from SMU. Maybe a Dez Bryant replacement. He's a big 6'4" receiver. They say he can stretch the field. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I watched a lot of SMU football because I did not. NFL.com has got us taking Deron Payne. The Land of 10 I mentioned has us taking Maurice Hurst, a defensive lineman from Michigan. Thumbs up or thumbs down on Hurst?
Well, see, here's the thing. And I'm looking at Kiper and McShay again here. They've got you both. They know a lot. Okay. I love when people make fun of Mel Kiper. I mean, if you're get by the fact that he can be a little annoying.
Yeah.
And he makes a prediction on every single player. So let's be honest. I mean, like our NBA picks, it's a loser's game. You're not going to sound smart when you make that many predictions. That dude knows football. NFL and college better than any human, other than maybe Mike Mayock, but Mayock doesn't even bring up college stuff.
Well, I tell you, it kills me watching the draft, and you'll be on the day 3, halfway through the 7th round,
and he's not looking at notes.
And Kiper's up there, and he's just going in because they don't even announce the picks by then. They make like 5 picks and then show you all 5 picks at one time. It'd be like, we took Jamal Smith, the linebacker from Liberty, and Kiper will have info on Jamal Smith, the linebacker from Liberty.
The last time a linebacker was taken from Liberty was 1983.
It's unbelievable.
And you and I have talked about this off the air. The best radio talk show in sports is McShay and Dari Noka. Period. It's the best. And you get Kiper cranked up on college basketball, which he doesn't even cover. He knows it. He knows more than I do. It's amazing. But anyway, so they've got you guys. Well, Kiper's got you taking Rashad Evans, middle linebacker from Alabama. I don't have a problem with that. Anthony Hitchens.
It seems to
needs a replacement.
It seems to be a position of need. So does defensive line.
Well, notice that the theme here is defense. You guys basically have needs all over your defense. We shouldn't, but our entire defense got hurt last year, so there's that. And then McShay has you taking Taven Bryan, defensive tackle out of Florida. So the theme for both of our teams seems to be filling the need at interior defensive line.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I'm seeing interesting looking at several of these mocks, because none of them are completely right. Have you ever tried to put a mock draft together? I've done it just for giggles before,
right.
And it is. After like 4 picks, everything you pick is wrong.
Well, because as soon as one of them's off, then
the whole thing
falls apart.
I've seen 2 now that have us going wide receiver. The first one is CBS Sports has got us taking, like I said, Cortland Sutton. USA Today has got us taking DJ Moore from Maryland. So I'm kind of wondering, is there more to this Dez Bryant thing than we thought? We signed Allen Hurns, so it looks like we're stocking up at receiver. Maybe Dez gets moved. I don't know. I'm starting to get really concerned about that, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, you know me. I'm in favor of you guys trading him. I think you should get something for him while you can get something for him. Kiper's got you taking tight end out of Penn State, Mike Gesicki, in the 2nd round at the 50th pick. That could be – I mean, we've talked about this, man. Your man down there can't last forever.
No.
He is 73 years old. And
he still catches 600 balls a year.
He's another one of those guys, sort of like we talked in hour 1 about Villanova. I mean, I've tried to hate him.
You can't.
I can't.
No, you can't.
He just seems like a great guy. And I'd hate to see him retire. It's not going to feel the same after he does, but this might be his last year.
We've gone down the tight end route on a number of occasions.
It's
the last
really
handful
hard.
of years. We can't find another one. I mean, we cannot find another. We had Martellus. We've done the Martellus Bennett thing. We've drafted a few others.
There's a really good one coming out of Columbia, South Carolina, but I think he might be gone before the 19th pick.
You think he's going that high?
I do.
See, I think he'll be there at 19. I think he's going to be there on the back half. He just screams New England Patriots to me for some reason.
Oh, he does.
He just screams Patriots, man.
The Jaguars are apparently real high on him right now, too. But we'll see where Hurst ends up. There's no question in my mind, though, if he stays healthy, he is a prototypical NFL tight end. Why we couldn't figure out how to throw a football to him, I don't know. But that's ask Kurt Roper. He's out in Colorado.
Yeah, this isn't on our itinerary, so it's got to be real quick. But BG, what do you think about the Patriots trade last night? You see that?
I'm always in favor of the Patriots trades. It's a little bit of an eyebrow raiser, but
why does Brandon Cooks keep getting traded? Is it his contract? Because he can?
Do you think that when Bill Belichick was born, maybe some sort of evil wizard put a spell on him and he's forced to trade a certain number of players every year, even if he doesn't want to?
Yeah.
Because they do, man. They turn over their whole roster every year, which makes what they're able to do with. I mean, it also shows you what a quarterback can do in the NFL. But,
look,
yeah, no,
they've got 2 first-round picks now.
That's scary. God, that's scary.
Who's out there for 2 first-round picks? Pick up the phone. You can have him. Pick up the phone. You can have him.
Yeah, I don't think they're going for ODB.
Give me ODB and Tom Brady.
That would be frightening.
Oh my goodness!
But Belichick's too smart to give up 2 first-round draft picks for that guy, man.
Man, Belichick's on the way out. What's he care about what it looks like 5 years from now?
You don't know that.
What does he care about what it looks like 5 years from now?
Bob Kraft looks like he could die during a game in the box.
When you got Randy Moss, they were unstoppable.
They were until they got stopped.
It took a man catching a ball in his helmet to beat him. Give Tom Brady Odell Beckham. It'll be the best receiver he's ever had. You got Gronk. Oh my goodness. Anyway, moving on.
You don't think that'll happen?
Yes.
You do think that's going to happen?
I think they're going to pull the trigger on it. I think they're. Why would you just give away Brandon Cooks?
My secret love affair with the Patriots would be hard pressed to continue.
Why would you just give away Brandon Cooks for nothing? I mean, so you can draft another.
Maybe they're
tackle.
punishing him for getting hurt in the Super Bowl. Like, look, he wasn't there.
Top of the draft, BG. Like I said in hour 1 or in our little preview video, it seems like you've got 5 guys who consistently hang around that top 5, and if you look around, you can find all of them at some point in that top spot. Who do you think's going number 1?
I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue. It'll probably be a quarterback. Unfortunately, I don't know. Darnold, Rosen, those guys to me don't. They don't ring my bell.
It's my thing. If Cleveland takes a quarterback, I think it'll be Sam Darnold. And I think it'll be Darnold. But then you have to ask the question, okay, 1, we traded for Tyrod Taylor, so we don't have to have a quarterback today. We have a guy who is perfectly capable of playing winning football games. But 2, do you really trust your people's ability to go out and evaluate a quarterback? And 3, do you think that one of these 3 guys is a 12-year starter in the NFL? Because if you draft him number 1, that's what you've got to have. You've got to have a good decade plus out of him.
Darnold's got better tangibles than Rosen. Rosen, to me, seems like he's got Johnny Manziel's brain and a better quarterback's body. What do you buy about this Allen kid out of Wyoming being the first overall pick? Is that simply people just trying to recreate Carson Wentz? He's from the same part of the country. He's up there in those states. Well, maybe we'll get that kid and he'll be another Carson Wentz.
Well, look, to me, Wyoming is not exactly a hotbed of college football.
The Browns aren't going to do that, are they? Are they going to do that?
Well, I tell you what, if they do, and it hits, it'd be like going today and buying one Powerball ticket and hitting the Powerball. When they played bigger schools, I think they played Iowa last year. They went to Boise State. When he got big stages, he was terrible.
Right.
He couldn't complete anything. So would I take him number 1? No. And all 3 of these guys have things about you that makes you go,
They don't.
Does Rosen love football? Sam Darnold, he throws interceptions. He throws a lot of interceptions.
And that's a bad sign.
On a really high expectations for that team. If I'm Cleveland, if I can find somebody that loves one of these guys, I know it. You traded out of Wentz and you traded out of Deshaun Watson. I would investigate trading out of that 1 spot. But if I stay in 1, I'm taking the best player in the draft. I'm taking Saquon Barkley. And I'm going to put him with.
Well, Saquon Barkley can make any quarterback look a lot better.
I'm taking Barkley. I'm gonna basically punt on the quarterback for the next decade for now. I'm going to ride Tyrod Taylor. And then at number 4, because quarterbacks are going to go right after that. When I'm sitting there at number 4, I'm taking Bradley Chubb. And I'm putting Chubb on the other side of Myles Garrett. I'm trying to recreate what they've done in Houston with J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney. There, I've fixed my offense and I fixed my defense in the course of like an hour.
I don't agree with you very often, but that's a pretty solid thing because, I mean, people are desperate to – it's like you got this coupon for a quarterback and you're afraid if you don't spend it, it'll expire.
Right.
But don't go spend a pick. I mean, the thing is, and there's always guys – like, let's just look at this year's past draft. All right, let's take the Redskins, for example. Okay, so you've got Alex Smith at quarterback now. Don't worry about his age. Let's just worry about this upcoming season. How many quarterbacks that came out of the draft last year is he better than for the next 2 years? I think Deshaun Watson's probably the only quarterback that's better than Alex Smith that came out of last year's
draft, yeah.
And so what I'm saying is these guys are available in free agency. You know, and then and look, I don't fault the Browns for missing on Carson Wentz. I would have missed on Carson Wentz. But I tell you what I wouldn't have done. I wouldn't have missed on Deshaun Watson. Not if you watched him play.
No.
That dude single-handedly, by himself, with no help from that no-talent squad he was stuck on, won a national title with absolutely no help from his cornball coach or his terrible offensive team. No talent except for Deshaun Watson. He beats Alabama. That's good enough for me. I still hate him, though.
Yeah. Well, I guess when the Browns – because if you've done what they've done this offseason and you've brought in the guys and you've gotten aggressive in bringing guys in and turning your roster over, you're not planning on – not that anybody plans on being number one, but you're not planning on being at the top of a draft again for at least for another handful of years at the very least.
You wouldn't hope so, but the Browns will probably be there next year.
So, the chances that you're going to wind up back at the top and in the position to draft literally anybody that you want may not come along again. Hopefully for them, it won't come along. So is there going to be like you just said, man, we're here. Quarterbacks go number 1. We kind of feel like we have to take the quarterback, right?
It's almost like you have this first-round pick and you know – I think your prediction for Barkley at 4 is pretty spot on. I feel like there are a lot of guys pointing out that that's probably where the Browns go. But almost every mock draft has 3 quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3.
To me, I take Barkley 1 because the Giants, there's been so much talk about what they would do. Would they draft Manning's replacement? They may take Barkley, and you may not get Saquon Barkley again at number 4. So I would take him at 1, but that's just me. One guy that is in the mix to go number 1, Josh Rosen. If you've seen the news the last few days, his coach, Jim Mora Jr., kind of threw him under the bus just a little bit, didn't he, BG?
Well, I don't know. In between throwing him under the bus and sort of insanely defending him all at once. Let me just say off the bat, though, Jim Mora drives me crazy. I love his dad because of playoffs, but
that'll never get old.
He himself just seems like a little putz who's earned what he's gotten. He's been everywhere. And I don't know. He and Josh Rosen just seem to deserve each other.
The first thing that I thought of when I read what Moore had said, about keeping him interested and holding his attention, yada yada. To me, that's code for the kid doesn't really love football, right? He doesn't. He's not all in on the game now.
Well, he didn't choose to come play in the SEC, so that's obvious.
Well, okay, because
I don't even know.
Only football players go to the SEC.
Do they really play? Okay, let's just say, for example, there was a really highly touted quarterback prospect from California. If I were that guy, I'd come play at South Carolina. That's just me.
Okay.
In fact, we got one today from California. It's strange that you would bring that up.
I didn't because that's
what we're talking about. We're talking about South Carolina football.
Yeah, we have this thing in our head where we feel like football players have to come from houses with dirt floors and have to be missing meals, and they have to
not
be
quarterbacks
fighting to get out of some poverty-stricken situation. Josh Rosen, his dad's a doctor, is a surgeon. They live in Malibu. I mean, he's got money. He had a freaking hot tub in his dorm room.
Yeah,
is a story I heard. I mean, I don't know if he's still playing. I don't question. If I'm gonna have a question about him, I'm more concerned with the fact that he's had like 92 concussions at UCLA, and him just deciding, hey, I don't really need this. Is it as much as I would question whether or not he quote unquote loved football? Does anybody really love football?
I mean, he threw his career, his senior stats: 3,756 yards, 26 touchdowns, 10 picks. His career at UCLA, 9,300 yards, 59 touchdowns, 26 interceptions. So about a 2-to-1 interception. Yeah. If that was in the NFL, that'd be great. But here's the thing. Look at some of his attempts per game. Week 1, 59. Week 3, 56. Week 4, 60. So when people say he's throwing for 400 yards, I'm like, yeah. He's still throwing for about 9 yards of completion. Okay, so
in an offense, it's supposed
in his offense that's designed to just and in a league where no one plays defense. Right. So I mean, again, you hear it a lot, but system quarterback, and then if you've got questions, look, are we saying Josh Rosen shouldn't play NFL football? No. We're talking about drafting him first overall. Ask the Washington Redskins what missing on a number 1 overall quarterback pick does for you.
What does it do for you?
It sets you back a decade. A decade.
The Cleveland Browns have been missing since 1999.
And each one of those is cumulative. It doesn't set you back 10 years and then 11 after that. It's 20.
Yeah,
so they only have 43 more years to go, and then they will recover from Bernie Kosar being their last great quarterback. Yeah. Who's their current leader in wins? Johnny Manziel. That tells you all you need to know.
Manziel, Baker Mayfield has been compared by some to Manziel. Where do you see Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson winding up?
Okay, 2 different scenarios here. If you look online, and let's be honest, that's what I went and did. You told me this was going to be a question. Okay, you can find someone having Baker Mayfield going to more teams than there are. There are a couple of scenarios where he goes to teams that aren't even in the NFL yet. Mm-hmm. They're coming up. The Sacramento Ghost Peppers. All right, so there is no consensus on Baker Mayfield.
I've seen him everywhere.
The Dolphins,
as high as 3.
That you see him at and that's the other thing. I would sure take him before I took that kid out of Wyoming. Yes. But again, Baker Mayfield to me is a guy who's
he is this year. Every year there's some guy in the draft that starts shooting up because it's not shooting up, but starts shooting up the draft boards.
I'm sure he's been shooting up for years. That's why he's able to compete.
For whatever reason. Mayfield is that year. He's this year's jump up the draft board guy. Sure, what it is, but man, you get Mayfield. They were talking about whether or not he would be a first round pick.
Well, he had a great combine. He looked good.
And now
physically.
He's talking about going number 3.
Yeah,
and Lamar Jackson's the other one. Here's one. I see one. I've seen him go all over.
A lot of people have him going to the Cardinals.
Yeah, I saw
a lot of people have him going to the Cardinals.
The Jaguars. Down there at 29 a couple times. One I don't even see him in the first round. And I found one that didn't even have Lamar Jackson. I think it was Charlie Casserly put one out. Not even in the first round.
How open do you think Jackson is to not playing quarterback if he's given a shot to play quarterback?
I don't think he's open to not playing quarterback at all. He's doing the Tim Tebow thing. Come hell or high water, he's going to make it or not make it as a quarterback.
And unfortunately, I think he and Baker Mayfield are going to end up in the same boat with Tim Tebow. And they probably aren't really great baseball players. So that I don't expect either one of these guys is going to have a very stable or lengthy NFL career.
Mayfield wasn't my guy going into the year. Real quick, we got to move on. But man, maybe I'm starting to buy the Mayfield hype.
Well,
I can't explain it.
I hyped him big time in the college game. I don't see it in the league.
I can't explain it. I'm starting to buy the Mayfield hype a little bit. So, college football, spring games, the Tar Heels, they're not having one. They are not having the spring game this year. I think they're doing some renovations to the stadium. And so, They just had a lot of practices, BG.
Look, well, that's all the spring game is anyway. This spring game thing, it's sort of just, it's like the reason the combine gets televised in the NFL. People are so starved year-round for football, especially college football, because it seems like the season's over the day it starts.
Yeah.
10 years ago, well, let's say 15, 20 years ago, I mean, there weren't spring games, and if there were, nobody went to them. They were just scrimmages. That's what we used to call them. Mm-hmm. We had scrimmages in 7th grade and 8th grade. It's a glorified practice. It's valuable, and it's good to get freshmen playing in front of 35,000, 40,000 people and let them see how they react. But it's just another evaluation tool. I doubt Larry Fedora is missing anything real by skipping his spring.
No, the Tar Heels, they're replacing 4 coaches off the staff. Their offensive coordinator decided to take the cheap way out, and he has gone to Philadelphia to coach wide receivers with the Eagles. They've got 4 new coaches, but really the Tar Heel spring is basically get healthy and stay healthy. Last year they had 22 guys get injured that were injured by the time the thing ended. So they're going to be breaking in some offensive linemen. So it's basically get healthy, stay healthy, and get the young guys some reps. So the Clemson Tigers, their spring game will be kicking off for what?
Middle of April 15th,
next weekend,
something
14th,
like
something like that. The storyline out of Clemson is, of course, surprise, surprise, Trevor Lawrence and his battle. Will he or won't he supplant Kelly Bryant at quarterback? I found some Jeff Scott quotes. He's quoted as saying that he was testing it, in quote, a little bit, referring to his arm. Again, we talked about code with Josh Rosen. I take that as code being, man, this kid's out here throwing interceptions left and right in practice. What about you?
Well, I mean, I think that's sort of what you expect. You got to remember, too, Clemson's defense is not everybody's defense.
Right.
If I'm Dabo Swinney, God, that hurts to say. If I am William Swinney, okay, I can't call him that name. If I'm William Swinney, I probably stop sleeping with my mother when I'm about 4, but that'd be the first of many changes. I'd probably comb my hair more from the middle than part it way over from one ear to the other. I'm getting off topic, aren't I? Okay, so if I am William Swinney, I'm going to run Trevor Lawrence against the best guys I've got, and I'm going to absolutely butcher him during spring practice. I'm going to knock him down a peg or two. I'm going to get all this like blonde Greek god talk out of his head because I don't care what anybody says. He's listening to that stuff. He's a 18-year-old kid.
It's hard not to when you're that age.
I mean, the fact that I even know it happens, that has been said. Yeah, so that stuff's out there. Obviously, Clemson's media isn't going to hold him accountable, and I'm not trying to throw high heat against Clemson. Their media sucks. It just does. Anybody, they don't question Clemson about anything, just like you just said. If that was a South Carolina player at spring practice throwing picks, that's exactly what it would have said, and it would have insinuated he was dealing drugs. We would have gone there, too, even though there would have been no evidence.
Well, is there any chance that, because we talked going into last year that there's no way Kelly Bryant's going to make it through the season. He's going to lose his job by week 6, and then
we really did do that.
We butchered Kelly Bryant all year long, and all. I mean, I don't think he was great.
He was good enough.
He was good enough, and they found themselves back in the playoffs. Are you buying any of the Trevor Lawrence hype that he's going to push Kelly Bryant over to the bench and take over that job?
No.
I'm not either.
I want to because, like you said, I mean, Kelly Bryant, mentally speaking, it's going to be hard for a freshman to stare him down and not blink.
Yeah.
Kelly Bryant has seen about all the criticism one person can get. And what did he do? He took him to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you can say, well, he didn't. Well, he's the quarterback, so he gets to say that because he sure would have been blamed if they hadn't gone. So, I mean, I find myself kind of pulling for Kelly Bryant in a way, and he's stuck around over there. I mean, obviously the money's good. He's probably making, I don't know, what does Clemson pay these days?
I don't know, but you guys just signed a quarterback from California, so I would hush.
A 3-star quarterback whose other offer list included Arizona as his top school.
I would hush. So you guys had your spring game last weekend. I saw a few minutes of it. I liked a lot of what I saw, but what are your thoughts? on some of the offense, it looked like the offense has kind of sped up a little bit, and they're speeding up the pace.
Well,
how is that going to do for Bentley this year?
I think it's going to help him a lot, because I think Bentley is one of those guys that gets in his own head. I think everything you can do to keep the game instinctual for him and not give him time to sort of get rattled. And one would hope going into his junior year now, Jake Bentley started 20 straight games. Okay, so, I mean, he's, you know what I'm saying? He's a veteran at this point.
Right.
And this is the year you really would expect to see him.
So we expected it last year,
well,
and it was just kind of okay.
Again, how many players, the sophomore slump is a thing because it happens. All right? And again, I blame a lot of that on Kurt Roper. And let me go back to this. Not his play calling. I've said this a lot, but his actual coaching of Bentley. I've watched guys online break down Bentley's footwork, even in the bowl game, and it was just terrible. It was just fundamental stuff that a quarterback has to do a certain way that he wasn't doing. To me, you have to put some of that on the man who works on one-on-one with him 2 or 3 hours a day. Okay, so now a much more experienced quarterback coach, which I also think helps Brian McClendon to have that veteran presence. But McClendon wants to go fast. The first 2 series during the spring game, and keep in mind it's just a spring game, but they were snapping the ball at about 16 or 17 seconds. Every single snap, all the way down the field. And what I saw Bentley really doing was throwing to the first guy he sees that's open. And a lot of times the defense, who obviously was prepared for it, they weren't getting lined up properly. Now, Spurrier was at the game. And if you watch the game, dropping passes.
Like a dummy.
Well, to be honest, I mean, you probably, if you're a 70-year-old guy, you probably shouldn't agree to try to catch a 40-yard bomb in the end zone. But he said he thought it was going to be a 10-yard dump off, and maybe Muschamp wanted to knock him down. I don't know. I think Muschamp...
Who threw it?
Scarnecchia, which is appropriate because that was his recruit.
Yeah.
But what I saw was Bentley very accurate, very poised. Keep in mind they were only rushing 4. Very vanilla defense. Bentley's stats would have looked amazing if there hadn't been a lot of drop passes. Yeah. And I mean a lot of drop passes. We were throwing to a lot of freshmen. Obviously, Deebo Samuel didn't even play.
Yeah, I saw he was just standing down there.
This offense, and I said it last year, and it wasn't terrible last year, despite all the criticism you hear. If you went back and look at Bentley's stats, they're not bad. They're not bad. I don't have them in front of me, but I've looked at them, and I mean, they look almost as good as Josh Rosen's stats. But I think if Deebo stays healthy next year, this is a team that could score a lot of points.
Do you think having some guys behind him, with Joyner and Urich, do you think having some what seem to be capable guys behind him, is that going to help Bentley along this season?
I hope that it doesn't need to. I don't think Jake's problem has ever been motivation. When you talk about those questions you have about Josh Rosen out in Los Angeles, I don't think there are any of those questions about Jake Bentley. I think Jake Bentley is a guy.
He's a football guy.
He is made of leather.
Yeah.
And his question has just been his decision making. I hope that we're going to see that's gotten a lot better.
That's got to get better because again, if you're making poor decisions and you have guys behind you who are capable guys. I mean,
Jay Urich is a redshirt redshirt freshman this year. He's a 6'5" pro-style quarterback who actually has some pretty good wheels. He took off a couple of times in the spring game. I don't think he's a guy who was brought in with the intention of pushing Jake Bentley. The Kerryon Joyner, now that's a different situation.
But how do you think he's going to be used then?
One thing
you think they'll redshirt him?
I doubt it. I think that he probably gets into games in the balls on the 5-yard line type packages. I think you may see him line up beside Bentley, which would be a nightmare for defenses if they line up and you're not even sure who's getting the snap. If he's used, though, I think that it'll be specialized scenarios. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in and take a jet sweep from Bentley. I wouldn't be surprised to see them on the field at the same time, but I do not think you will see him start a game at quarterback unless there's an injury.
I think he winds up redshirting.
I think, he came out and said last year that he was fine with that. He actually released the quote.
Yep, I think he winds up redshirting because I've never liked the idea of putting in a special package for a guy because when he comes in, you know exactly what he's going to do. Everybody in the stadium knows exactly what he's going to do. And if Bentley is the better quarterback, then you're going to...
Bentley, let's be honest, Bentley needs to be the better quarterback.
And he's the better quarterback, so it's kind of like not comparing Bentley to Tom Brady, but when New England brought in Tim Tebow in there and everyone was like, they'll run these packages for Tebow. Why would you take the ball away from Tom Brady? He's the best quarterback you have. Why would you take the ball
and try to throw him a pass so he can Steve Spurrier?
Right. So I just, to me, Joyner, we've talked about it. He's a slight of build guy.
Yeah,
he's got to get in the weight
definitely
room.
needs to put on about 25 pounds.
You mentioned how one trip in the spring game he broke out and is carrying the ball. The first time he really gets hit, it fumbles. I think it's going to be a big. I think there's a big adjustment for him.
What we're talking about is in most spring games, quarterbacks are off limits. Well, Muschamp did not have the yellow jersey on Joyner or Urich, and Joyner got his clock cleaned. On the first sweep. I mean, the linebacker came up and just decleated him.
That's a big gamble to let a guy get hit in the spring game.
But I think what they would tell you, and I didn't see it referred to in the interview, was that they need Joyner to take live bullets because he did not face a high level of competition in high school. He played in the lower state of South Carolina where things are notoriously low population. You play a lot of schools that are barely fielding a football team. And when you're an athlete like he is, you just run wild on those guys. He was running with the ball way away from his body. And on his first carry in the spring game, he fumbled. And I would be surprised if that's not exactly what Brian McClendon and Will Muschamp were hoping would happen. Because that's how you learn. It's like we talked about. You know to carry the ball a certain way. Making yourself do it in the live game is a different
muscle
thing.
Memory.
It does. So I thought, you don't worry about the defense in a game like this. They're rushing 4. They're not mixing up coverages. Had a lot of guys sitting. T.J. Brunson didn't play. He's going to be the core of your defense. I'm real high on him.
Here's the main thing. Did anybody get hurt?
Not that I saw. I think, like I said, one
the
reserve
spring game
defensive
was
lineman.
a rousing success thing.
Yeah, and that's all you want. You want to make the fans happy. You want to show them a little something, but really you just want to get them in front of the crowd and let them have a little fun.
Let them sign autographs. Let the fans come out and take pictures and things when it's over with. Make sure nobody gets hurt. That's
one massive improvement that Muschamp has made over the Spurrier area is that, we call it the garnet and black game. Spurrier used to pull everybody in garnet. There were no black. And I'm like, you can't call it the garnet and black game if one team's not wearing black.
It's just the garnet game.
Muschamp has gone to putting one team in black pants and white jerseys, so you know which team the black team is. Now, he's bad about starting the same quarterback for both teams and changing the down markers. And I don't know if you saw it, but Booger McFarland and some of the other ESPN guys were refereeing, and most of them refused to call a penalty. I mean, they just sort of stood there. So there were probably some holds that got missed, but
that's what I would have done.
But our running game looked good, considering the fact again that we weren't starting any of our expected starting running backs. This was a game to get a lot of young kids playing time. I think we had 17 kids report in January.
Yeah.
So it's the apex. But I'll tell you, I really like doing the game this early. I like wrapping up spring practice because it does a couple of things. It lets you get the recruits you want at your spring game because, let's be honest, in a way it is a recruiting tool.
That's really all it is.
It's an excuse to have guys on campus other than, hey, just come down when nobody's here. The whole team will be there to talk with them. And you do it early, and you're not competing with Clemson and Georgia and Florida and LSU and Kentucky and everybody else in the Southeast because everybody else is doing it later. And if somebody does get hurt, it gives you a few extra weeks to sort of rehab a sprained ankle or a turf toe or something other than a serious injury. All in all, I would say it was a pretty successful day.
Well, that's great. One thing that was not a successful day is our NBA picks last week. I need to rehab from some injuries. I go 2-8. I go 2-8. You go 4-6. We'll start off this week's picks list as we close the show up in the last few minutes. Mavericks at the Magic on Wednesday. BG. You going the Mavs or the Magic in this heavyweight race to the bottom of the NBA standings?
I'm never going to pick the Mavericks in an away game. Just give me the Magic.
I'll take the Mavericks. Did you see the sick Dennis Smith Jr.? He bounced it like off the backboard and then dunked it to himself.
I did not see that.
Yeah,
I guess that's impressive. It feels more like pro wrestling, but
Cavs at 76ers on Friday. The Cavs hitting their stride, like I said last week. Give me the Cavs, BG.
I'm going to take the Cavs as well.
All right. My Pacers at the Raptors. Pacers, one of the most overachieving teams in the NBA. Maybe that's a topic for next week. They're at the Raptors. Raptors are reeling. They are reeling. They may wind up losing that top seed.
They might have drunk the poison.
Yep. They're only 2 games up. They get the Celtics tonight again. I'm going to Pacers.
I'm going to take the Pacers in that one, too. I think they sneak one in here.
Going up north and getting a win. Kings at the Grizzlies. I don't know why the Kings are on here so much. Maybe I'm just a closet Kings fan. Maybe
I hate them.
Maybe it's the Justin Jackson effect. Give me the Kings over the Grizzlies.
I never pull for the Kings. I'm taking the Grizzlies.
Grizzlies.
I still think they're good from 5 years ago.
Grizzlies. They stink. T-Wolves at the Lakers, BG.
T-Wolves.
Give me the Lakers. I don't know why. They're at home. Give me the Lakers. Pelicans at the Warriors on Saturday night. I'll take the Warriors. No surprise.
Yep.
Shocker.
Same here.
Thunder at the Rockets.
Give me the Thunder.
I agree with you. Rockets have wrapped up that top seed. Their coach has commented about how they feel like the rest is hurting their play. So I'll take the Thunder. Portland at San Antonio. San Antonio, their streak of 50-win seasons is officially snapped. It goes back 18 seasons. At home, they're tough to beat. Give me the Spurs.
I'm going to take the Fighting Damian Lillards.
I think you would take any team Damian Lillard was on against an NBA All-Star team, wouldn't you?
I love Damian Lillard.
Finally, Celtics at the Wizards on Tuesday. Who knows by Tuesday what the standings will look like?
You skipped the game, man.
Did I?
Did we do the Nuggets and the Clippers?
I didn't even write that one on. Didn't even write that one down. Nuggets at Clippers, BG. Who you got?
I always take anybody over the Nuggets. I don't even like saying that word.
I'm taking the Nuggets.
Of course you are.
Yep. I'm taking the Nuggets. Finally, again, we don't know what the NBA standings will look like. By then, the Celtics may be in first. The Wizards probably going to wind up 6th, I'm guessing, somewhere in that little.
I'm going to bank on the Celtics sitting some guys for this one to go with the Wizards.
I'm taking the Wizards too. So that's it. Hopefully, we'll look at the schedule. That may be it for the NBA picks.
I really hope so.
I don't know.
I want to eke out a 2-game win so we can say we're even for the year and get to the summer.
Oh man, yeah, it's. I'm just hoping to be above 500. So that's it, BG. We got the Masters coming up. A couple minutes. We're going to get ready to shut things down here.
Everybody knows who you're picking, man. Everybody.
I don't think you do know who I'm picking.
You're going to pick Rory McIlroy.
Who you got to win the Masters?
I'm going to go out on a limb and go with Justin Rose. Justin Rose is a guy who always. Trying to think of like a NASCAR driver to compare him to. He always finishes like 6th, 5th. He's always in the top 10. 5 top 10s in his last 10 starts at Augusta. He plays really well. I just think it's one of those years. There's been so much talk about it. Whatever people think is going to happen, it won't be the thing that happens. I'm going to say Tiger finishes 3rd. I think he's right up there, but I'm going to go with Justin Rose.
I think Tiger will be up there. I thought about this on the way over. I cannot remember a time going into the Masters where there have been this many high-level players playing so well. When you look at Bubba Watson just winning.
And you're going to miss it all to go to a Hornets game?
Tiger. Right. I didn't think about that. You got a good point. But Tiger is back. McIlroy is back. I'm going with Justin Thomas to win the Masters this year. I'm going with Justin Thomas.
Wow.
Yeah. That's it, guys. Hour 2 in the books. We're done for the week. You can follow us on Twitter at The Border War. If you want to tweet BG, he's at BG_Border War. I'm at TanMan3264. You can email the show at CarolinaBorderWar@gmail.com. You can like us, share us on Facebook, download our podcast. It'll save your data. BG, have you got anything else you want to add? I have nothing. I'm out of stuff.
If you are going to eat any ghost peppers while you're watching the Masters, make sure you have a cup of water nearby because they're very hot.
I thought water makes stuff worse. Like you're supposed to drink milk.
Hot milk.
Milk and bread,
warm,
right?
Do people actually drink warm milk? Sounds really gross.
I wouldn't.
Sounds like a Dabo thing.